Hello, hello, everybody, and welcome to our podcast, Rural State of Mind. It's our first day, and we're super excited.
Yay!
Yes, this is so exciting. I actually want to show you, if I can, let me share my screen, um, what our YouTube thumbnail is going to look like. It's kind of exciting for us. There it is.
Oh, I love
And
it.
isn't it so
Yes.
great? Okay, we really worked hard on this and we kind of really thought about what does this podcast mean for us? But we thought that instead of like gaming everything out without you all hearing it, we thought, why not do this kind of like live so that you're a part of the whole process?
Yes.
And so,
Real
Rural
time.
State of Mind is really a podcast that is honoring and loving on rural people all across the country. And for us specifically in Texas, because we're Texans.
hmm
Sarah, you have something to say about that or anything you want to add?
Yes. So when we talk about rural state of mind, a big thing that comes up for me is a community culture. So we're talking about a small town, small community. Everybody pretty much knows everybody and knows a little bit about them. So when you like run into somebody in the grocery store, you're not only saying hi, but you're like asking about their kids and their family and what they're doing. And like, when somebody is like sick and you're praying for them because you actually know them. And it
And they
is,
believe that you're praying for them.
yes, absolutely. And so, there's something special about that community culture. I think that it's a very, I keep saying supportive, but it really is because like you've got people around that are there to help you and are, cheering you on in whatever you're doing. And it's a thing. Like when there's funerals, we are like making dinner, bringing it to their house and like sitting with them, and it's a whole thing about supporting each other in different kind of ways. And so we're going to kind of bring that perspective to some topics that come up and
In culture,
just
society,
yeah,
schooling,
yes,
families, and maybe even some city folks will listen to us and maybe glean some wisdom of like,
mhm,
despite the fact that progress and moving fast can be really good, that also slowing down and tradition also has
mhm,
like a place in this world. And so it's like the
yeah,
melding of those two different things. And, you know, I lived in rural Texas most of my life, went to what you would consider, I guess, an ag school for
mhm,
college, and somehow ended up in the big old city just maybe about 7 years ago. And to be really honest, I am still not adjusted. This is still not home to me. And it's something that my husband and I struggle with on a day to day basis, if I'm really honest. Like,
mm,
we really struggle with like fitting in, yet we find that people are like almost like attracted to us. I feel like we're like little magnets in the city because like we bring different takes, sometimes hot takes, let's get real,
uh-huh,
different takes to situations, and we approach things very differently. You mentioned like the whole, like we bring the casserole over, and if someone died,
yes.
like I might show up at your house like with my toilet bowl scrub so that I can get your house cleaned because I know that like
Yes.
your family is coming. That does not happen here.
Yeah.
Just like that
Yes.
does not happen here. It's like respect people's privacy,
Yeah.
and you need to no, we're not going to give you anyone's phone number to check on them. We'll, us people with the security clearance can check on them, and we'll let you know what they'll allow us to let you know. And so it is very different. And even just like you said, running into people at the grocery store.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
That does not happen here. I do not run into, occasionally, I don't run into people I know at the grocery store. And even if I did, they probably wouldn't be interested in having a conversation at that point, because it's just a fast,
they're in a hurry.
Life here.
Get what you need and get out. Yep.
We got places to be, and we've got traffic to be in for the next 40 minutes. And like, it's just a different lifestyle.
Yeah.
And I feel like it's good that I've experienced both, but we'll just say this again. I am not home.
Yeah. Yeah. And another thing, like, aside from like knowing people at the grocery store, like we know like the business owners around here, well, we went to school with them, or like we knew them from who knows what, like people that own the drinks shops and the coffee bars and, different things like that, t-shirt shops. Like, we know all these people, and it's just kind of, it's nice to do like a small business kind of, things too. I know in our rural town, they have like a Saturday that they do like a pop-up market, and like all the little small business or like owners and families that want to sell stuff, like they all go out there, and it's like a big old get together. There's music, there's all kinds of food that people have made in like their own kitchen and like hand and
homemade,
all this homemade stuff, and it's like out there, and everybody's talking and sitting, and kids are playing and jumping in the bounce houses and all kinds of stuff. So
I know it's stuff like that I miss. Is that you said the big O. I'm like, yes, we don't like judge people for like the way that they communicate and their authenticity to like who they are. Like, I feel like here, like everything needs to be very buttoned up, and we need to have like the best speech and have the, just, it's exhausting sometimes. Like, you're just like, let me take off this mask and put on this mask constantly. And that is honestly something I never experienced in rural Texas. Like, I could just be unapologetically who I was, and like, that doesn't mean everyone was my friend, but I didn't feel like the reason they weren't my friend was because I wasn't eloquent enough, or I wasn't, I didn't go to, fancy schooling, public school right here.
That's all.
That's all there is. All that is available.
Yeah, exactly. Yes.
Yes. Like the heart of most of the communities in rural Texas, like everything runs semi around the school.
Yeah, absolutely. It does. And a lot of, in addition to like only having public school, we only have one hospital and one clinic, and, the resources in that kind of area, there's not as many like as going to a bigger town where you can go to several different clinics, and if you want any kind of specialty care, you're going to town, you're going to a bigger town. And there's always a travel somewhere.
I know. I talk to people all the time about the fact that like they think it is wild. Okay, well, we moved from, I'm just going out there. We're just going to put all my business out there. So, by the way, I don't know if we even introduced ourselves. So, we just got so excited. This is kind of what these are going to look like, that we're just going to jump in and have a good old time and visit about all the great things about small town Texas, small town America in general. And hopefully we can con some people. Okay, con might be a strong word, but ask them very nicely if they would come on and join us and talk about like their experiences in living in small communities, and kind of like maybe we can share our community story as well. Like it might be like one day is a Sarah day, and talk
Yeah.
about that like small town that you grew up in, and why it matters to you really. And I'll do the same, but um going to town. People here think it is wild. Okay, so I have my regular standard kitchen refrigerator that has a freezer, of course, on it.
Mhm.
But I have two other freezers,
You gotta
right?
have it.
Freeze.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, hello, I cannot drive 45 minutes or an hour and a half to go to HEB like every day. One way, folks.
Yeah.
One way. So, yes, we live differently. And
Mhm.
most of us hunt. We kill our food.
Yes.
And so
Yes.
we get lots of meat at one time, whether
Mhm.
that is venison, whether that is, having a calf slaughtered,
Mhm.
whatever it is, that's turkey, that's quail,
Yes. All the things.
dove, all the things, right?
Gotta have it on hand. Yep.
That's right. Those are the things that are packing our freezers, not necessarily corn dogs and
Yes.
more ultra processed type of food. So I
Mhm.
think when they think that, they're like, well, what goes in their freezer is not the same as what goes in my freezer. Right now, I have
Exactly.
4 half gallons of raw milk in my freezer as well. So, we have a little bit of different lifestyles, and that's okay.
Yeah, absolutely. And our talking about going, we're gonna talk about food. Talking
Yes,
about going to the grocery store.
yes,
Like,
everything revolves around the grocery store.
yeah, you're not gonna get any kind of like organic or like fancy drinks or anything here. So if you want any of that kind of stuff, you're ordering it in, or you're gonna go to town 45 minutes and get it and then come back, and you're going to stock up on it, because you can't just go and get that kind of stuff
Which
here,
is why you need the deep freeze.
Exactly. Exactly.
It's
Yes.
so amazing to me. Some people just like literally people who I work with go to HEB every single day.
Oh my
I
gosh. Yeah.
I don't care if it's carry out. P.S. I don't know if you know this, but yesterday, HEB was finger wagging at me because I
I
set an
saw that on
order.
your story. Yeah.
I set a to-go order for like 3:30, and then I realized, oh, actually 3:30 is on Wednesday, but this is Tuesday, and Tuesday I work till 6. So, oops. And so, yes, they were
You better hurry.
giving me
You
the
better hurry.
lecture. Yes, I could almost feel, sorry, mom, calling you out. I can feel like my mom's finger wagging through the HEB, like, we really suggest that you come and pick up this,
You're holding us up. You're holding us up.
I'm holding them up. Absolutely. Yet they've already deducted my credit card, of course,
Oh,
So yeah, that's so much fun.
yeah.
So
Well,
what else? What else about rural living might we talk about?
I definitely am excited about bringing some people in that kind
Yeah,
of
who's like your wish list?
I wish list. Okay. I'm thinking about some potentially like some football coaches, because football in rural areas is a big, huge deal. Like,
ding, ding, ding.
Yeah, that's going to be a biggie.
We love God. We love Jesus, and we love
Absolutely.
football.
Top. Yeah.
Ding, ding, ding.
That's rural living here. But I also I've talked about this before, but like the agriculture, farming, like there's some stuff that we need to talk about with that. And that may be like mental health related.
Yeah.
That may be with like high pressure, like situations that they're in. Yeah. There's a lot that we could talk about with,
for sure,
agriculture, farming type community.
I think so. Did you see the recent 60 Minutes interview they did with some like rural farmers, that they were all like really feeling the pressure because, there's lots of people think that I don't know, I think that maybe there's a lot of assumptions that happen with people who quote unquote own land, have land, etc. That must mean that they have endless amounts of money. But many people in agriculture take out extreme amounts of loans that
Yes.
a normal person living in their day-to-day life would not be signing for, because they
Absolutely.
have immense um, expenses in their tools that they use to make a living. I mean,
Yeah. And a lot of these big operations are like multi-generational. It may have been their great granddad. Someone started this thing and they've got the pressure of keeping it up and keeping
yeah,
it up for their families and growing it. And I just think, in addition to like the financial part of that, which is a whole stress, like that's a big issue too, because they want to keep it going, and it's just getting harder and harder. So
yeah, I was going to read a little bit about this. I don't know if you saw it, but it said, and of course, just so you know, guys, I am pulling it up on Google and on AI. So here's the thing about some of us rural people is that we can be very skeptical of like things like this. Oh no, they're going to take the jobs. You are in the best position you could be in right now. If you are a rural person that works with your hands, like
absolutely, yes.
there is
No computer that can take that.
no. And so there is, for a bunch of people who have been shunned and kind of looked down on and acted as if they were dumb, less than. Oh, my favorite one is uneducated. You are going to be fine.
Oh yeah, just fine.
You're going to be just fine.
Yep.
So
They can
I
have
love that.
Yep.
So it said, recent 60 Minutes report highlights the severe financial pressures on American farmers, focusing on the impact of high cost and tariffs. They had several farmers on discussing their worries about sustainability of their family farms due to the issue of low crop prices, rising interest rates, tariffs. Some are forced to work second jobs, which raises concern about the future of their families. And I will put on a clip. And I just think it goes back to showing like what type of people, honestly, that like the average rural person is, as opposed to anything else. Let me see if I can get this going and maybe I can play that clip for us. I'll be shocked if I can.
I think this is going to be a great topic. We've got
Okay,
some branches we can go on this thing,
Okay, yeah, let me share this. Share screen.
I don't know.
Let me start this.
You said you have almost no equity left.
It's getting down. It's getting down. It's getting low.
You think you can make it another year?
I don't know. Do you just keep going, rolling the dice, hoping things will turn? I mean, it's not looking good.
President Trump has promised a new bailout for American farmers, as much as $13 billion that he said would be paid for by the tariffs.
We're going to take some of that tariff money that we made, we're going to give it to our farmers, who are, for a little while, going to be hurt until it kicks in. The tariffs kick into their benefit.
Like most farmers we spoke to, Daniels and Carmack say they'd rather work their fields than rely on taxpayer money.
It will help pay some bills, but that's not fixing the problem.
Yeah,
It's
we
a
got
Band-Aid when we need stitches.
Can you wait? Can you wait this out?
Farm families can't wait.
I hear it's affecting your health.
Yes. 4 blood pressure pills a day, 3 different medicines. 2 years ago, none.
What do you think about when you go to bed at night?
What's going to be left in a year, 2 years? Am I the one that broke what started in the late 1800s?
Oh my
Oh
gosh.
my gosh. And there's so many that are feeling
So
that.
many.
You know, this is a
Yeah.
big issue. We have a mental health crisis in our farmers and ranchers, and
And they're
it's
not the most, let me just say, they're not the kind of people who would typically be able to seek out mental health care.
right.
And the one, probably access can be a little bit shaky. You're going to look at probably more telehealth access to a therapist. And number two, like, I'm not talking ego, I'm talking pride. And those are two different things. And just hearing that, like, it makes me like do a hard swallow. Like, you know, you can see it in their eyes, you can see the worry all over them. And, you know, again, it goes back to what we've talked about before. Like, you know, the somatic happens when you're not dealing and, you know, processing all the stress and anxiety, and his is manifesting with high blood pressure and stress. And, you know, there's like guilt and shame and embarrassment, and all of that was riddled in those conversations.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Oh my gosh. Well, this is something we're going to explore further for sure. Could get some ranchers in here, get some people in here that are experiencing it firsthand, you know, and just kind of getting their perspective. And
You know, I was just thinking, I feel like, and this might be, I don't know if it was the USDA or if it was like someone once upon a time sent out information about like people becoming more educated about like agriculture and that lifestyle and different things. And they were literally begging counselors to understand more about that culture so that they could help people, because a number of suicides had just gone through the roof in like that, specifically in that area.
yeah. I don't know the statistics on that, but it was pretty high. Let me think.
I see this. Okay, so I'm
Like
pulling up
3
AI.
times more likely or something.
Yeah. It says the agriculture industry, including farming and ranching, has one of the highest suicide rates compared to other occupations, both nationally and in Texas. It says that in response to this crisis, various organizations, including the Texas Department of Agriculture, have implemented dedicated mental health resources such as Agri-Stress Helpline. And so there is actually a free confidential crisis support line that gets you kind of like connected to trained professionals, and you can like call or text 833-897-2474. There's also a Texas Agri-Ability. That's a program that offers QPR, question, persuade, refer, suicide prevention training specifically tailored for farmers and families, along with other resources. There's also a farm aid helpline, 1-800-FARM-AID, which is all, I think, good in theory, in my opinion. You tell me if I'm wrong, Sarah, but if people are resistant to the resource, or you know, struggle with like coming to terms with maybe that's the way forward, that's hard. And I think it's an interesting bag, because I don't know if those usually men, some women for sure, more and more women, but are necessarily as open to discussing that with a man or a female. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Especially
Definitely.
because we know like 94% of therapists in Texas are female.
Yeah, I definitely think that could be a barrier. Also, like, I know that we talk about multi-generational farms and ranches. A lot of the time, they're grown up with being taught certain things like don't complain,
Yep.
like just work through it, like handle your business, like just, you know, don't seek out help, just get through it. Just
Yeah.
kind of like stop
And
talking
honestly, that has maybe worked for them for a while, right?
Yeah.
And so, like, I think that there is a very big gap in the fact that if they were matched with someone who was like, it's not your responsibility. You don't have to hold all the pressure of this. That's not a good match. So just
No.
because you're a therapist but if you don't understand the lifestyle, if you don't understand like kind of like what you're dealing with, you're actually not a good therapist for that person. You are not qualified to work with those people because that is actually not going to get them back in the door or backlogging on to have another conversation.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. They would think that was not a match for them at all. You know,
For sure.
They need somebody just to like, in some cases, just encourage them to keep going. Like, let's see what we got to figure out along the way and get back
They are
in there,
very
you know?
solution focused people.
Solution focused. Yes. Here it is. Let's do it. Yeah.
Do not pat me on the bottom. Do not tell me things are going to get better. You can become something else if you want to. No, they don't want to be something else. They want to be family farmers.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes. Yeah.
So I think it's just an interesting thing because there is some mismatch, especially if, let's talk about this, that many of the therapists so just FYI, we're also both therapists. One LPC supervisor, licensed professional counselor supervisor.
LPC associate.
Yep.
Jessica is my supervisor.
Yeah, she's my supervisee. So we work together actually a lot, and it was like love at first sight.
It worked so good. So good. Match made in heaven. It's perfect.
It was. And so
look at us now.
Yes. I really believe that like for this matchup, it was like the iron sharpens iron type of situation. You know, if you're rural, you know that's Bible verse, like coming at you hard and fast. But it really was like we just really understood where like we were coming from and could honor each other. And even if we had like different points of view, like we were able to recognize and understand that, and like no pressure to like accept the others as right or wrong, which is a trap, folks. Just for the record, it is a trap to believe that there's like good and bad, right and wrong. Like we are people of nuance, and life is nuance, and every situation is different. And like we need to remember that when we're dealing with one another. And I think in some ways, and I think this will be a topic soon, is that like rural people don't necessarily get the benefit of the doubt. They have been labeled some pretty harsh labels, whether it's uneducated or, I mean, we could pick from a treasure trove if we're really honest, right?
Yeah.
And interestingly enough, I always tell people like so I'm from West Texas. Do you want to say where you're from?
I'm from West Texas also. Yeah.
Yes. And I always tell people the best people are from West Texas. Like people be like, oh, I've been out there and it's nothing but mesquite bushes and oil rigs. And I'm like,
crazy traffic. Yeah.
And the best people you'll ever meet in the whole entire world. But you didn't get to experience that because you were put off by what your eyes told you instead of waiting for what your heart told you.
So be a part of it and you'll find out, you know, stay a while and you'll find out.
I love it. Come sit on the porch, stay a while. Let's chat.
Yes. Yeah.
And So yeah, I think that's some interesting things so that we'd want to get into. I also think we mentioned something, but like the oil and gas industry,
Mm-hmm.
big, huge West Texas industry. I mean, well, not just West Texas. You're welcome the rest of the state of Texas because all that oil pays
Mm-hmm.
for many school districts to stay in business across the state of Texas and helps you not to have to pay extreme amount of taxes because they cover it.
Yep, that's right.
And I think that needs to be taught in every school or for communities as a whole. And they don't talk about it near enough because we are all interdependent, despite the fact that we are independent people doing different things, which is great with autonomy. Our economy is interdependent and we rely on one another. And when you vilify people for what they do, their work, what helps them to put food on the table, what helps them to, keep the schools in business. It gets personal real quick.
Yep. Yeah. So we're going to shine some light on all of those things.
I know that might be a good husband episode.
Yes. Yes.
Right.
Absolutely.
Mhm. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. Anything else that you can think of that would be like, yeah, those are things we need to talk about.
I also want to talk about like growing up rule. Like, what are the kids like? What are they experiencing? Like, what's going to be like, kind of their story growing up and, the things that they've been a part of and that might be different from like city life and kind of hobbies and things like that. Those would be kind of some neat topics too. But
yeah, I think it was interesting. Maybe it was last year. I can't remember. But the town I grew up in, my parents still live there, and the school recently purchased some, or I'm not exactly sure if they purchased it. I don't really know exactly what happened. But anyways, they upgraded some land near my parents' house, which is like literally across the street now from them. And it's got like a couple of ball fields and some pickle ball and maybe like a playground, different things. And we were kind of just like hanging out and sitting outside. And it's great to see like there's like 30 kids, and I think they had to tell them, no, you cannot drive these motor vehicle type things up here anymore. But they were like in golf carts and like hunting buggies and on their electric bikes and all these things would like kind of like come to this place, and they would hang out and play together, and then they would like, drop off their friends on their way home to wherever they're going in their, electric vehicle.
Yes.
And I just thought, I have not seen a cluster of kids without parental supervision near a highway that like, big 18-wheelers travel on, all together, enjoying like being outside and just playing.
Yes, absolutely. Yes. And I think that's kind of one of the benefits about like rural living is there are spots where, they're safe, they're watched, there's adults around, but the kids are playing, they're independent, they're going places and, knowing where to go and, all that kind of stuff with their little buggies and stuff. But yeah, I think it's a neat way to grow up for sure. It is.
I'm thinking about like something from way back when, like for you specifically, what is like something like a memory that you think of that is like, what? We were doing that?
Man, we did in the summer, we did ride our bikes like everywhere, you know, and we could tell our parents like we're going to the park, and it may be a good ways, and it was just we go with our friends, and we didn't have cell phones, so it was like you're using the house phone to call the other people's house phone, like, hey, you ready to go ride bikes? And we'd go, and you know, we're like riding streets and, you know, doing the thing and not worried about, and that may be a times thing, you know, we kind of live in a different time now. Of course, things have changed a lot, but yeah, I mean, we weren't worried about like being anything. We weren't worried about getting kidnapped. We weren't worried about anything. We were just like going, enjoying, like hanging out, and that was just it. You know, our parents weren't right by us, but they were there, you know, they were around, or we had like friends nearby and their parents were there. And so it was just kind of that knowing everybody thing. But yeah, we definitely had a lot of freedom in that kind of that part, you know.
Yeah. I mean, I think back, and something that probably doesn't happen here very often is like, you know, my grandparents like killing a chicken in their front yard that we're gonna like eat, like immediately taking it inside, you know, like probably not something other people have experienced as much of when you're not in rural Texas. And these are things that make our upbringing and like shape us into who we are, that like, okay, like that's actually not something I'm going to be offended over or like shocked by, you know, so check that one off the list. So I don't have to worry with that later on. And that's great.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay. So that's kind of what this is going to look like. It's also we're going to talk about real issues that are affecting rural Texas, how like, things kind of trickle down into our rural county. So like some of the trends that we might be seeing in some of the cities, what does that mean for us later, and what can we do to get ahead of it? What are some really good like parenting techniques that might be important as you're like, maybe you're in the phase of getting ready to let your kids go off to college, if that's the decision that you're making, which I think is super interesting, that not only are millennials like really pulling back and reevaluating like the ROI on college education for kids, like what's the return on investment for that realistically? But rural families especially are saying like,
yes,
are we certain this is what we want to do? And they're being very selective of where I know some people who are like, I am happy to pay for your education if you go X, Y, or Z. Anything outside of there, we're not paying for.
That's right. That's right. Well, I mean, I definitely have seen that trend here in our rural area because, you know, like trade schools are a big draw now, you know, and we've got, yes, you know, some kids do graduate high school and go to the oil field, but, you know, kind of getting into one of those trades is becoming more appealing than it has been, I think, ever in the past. And so, I mean, that's a great option now. And so I think everybody's just kind of exploring different options other than, you know, just immediately going into like a big university somewhere, you know. They're just really kind of taking a step back and just seeing where they're at, you know, what's realistic here. So
I do think that for a long time, you know, like we bought into the pipeline hype as well. Like you graduate from high school, in August, I better be shipping you off to school somewhere. And you need to, because I mean, I remember having these conversations with my parents. So they were like, it doesn't matter what you do, just get a degree and like, it's going to be okay, basically. Right. Like that was like the thing that was going to make your life easier, more financially secure, all of these things. And in reality, you know, I went very general for my bachelor's degree, but if I was still working off of that bachelor's degree, then I don't think I would have near the opportunities. So I always think like if you have to do something specific, you're niching down, you're going to need like a certification, a licensure, something like that, then
Mhm.
college might be the right, pipeline for you.
Yeah.
But if not, if you're thinking about, I want to own a business one day, maybe, going and shadowing other business owners and like looking up
Yes.
different ways to do that might be the best way. I don't know, but I think
Mhm.
like it definitely opens up your eyes to understanding more and being willing to look at things through a different lens.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And that trend is, you know, I'm glad for it because high school kids, 18, 17, they don't know what they don't know what they want to do yet,
Mhm. Yeah.
And so for them to just go get a degree and whatever, we want them to be successful,
Yeah.
and that's sometimes we just need to take a step back, see where we're at, see what
Yeah.
other options are out there. We don't
Mhm.
have to jump,
Yeah.
right into college.
Well,
So,
I have a friend, and I saw one of the schools that I worked at, public schools in West Texas. They kind of got the whatever the early college distinguished or whatever it's called. Like what is that?
yeah. Is it a scholarship or something?
Well, it's like where you
Oh, where
can
they graduate
graduate.
early.
Yes,
Yes,
graduate with
yes.
your associate's degree by the time you graduate high school or some, like you're very far along. And I did
Yeah.
college classes whenever I was in school, but you didn't take more than two. Like it was,
Mhm.
you might have you entered college in with like one semester of college under your
Yes.
belt, right?
Yeah.
It, it's a whole new ball game when you're 18 and you need to make a decision immediately about the path you're going to travel. Like,
Yeah.
because you're going to be getting into that junior year by then.
Mhm.
And I don't know. I haven't seen a whole lot of success cases with that were honestly like kind of close to me. I see a lot of people stumbling. I see a lot of like still being unprepared to take on some of those
Mhm.
more challenging classes that are more specific and like just the pressure, like they're coming under pressure because still when you're 18, you still are also trying to dabble in like the social aspect of college,
Sure.
right?
Yes. And I also see like a lot of there's a lot of student loans, a lot of debt that's involved. And, do they really know what that means
Mhm.
at the very beginning? I don't know. I think that
Good
they get
question.
kind of wrapped up in something and then you're depending on where you go, thousands and thousands of dollars in debt and having to pay that back and just it just could create a mess if it's not
Yeah.
something that you're going to pursue that's you're going to finish it out and that's
Yes.
going to give you a career that can pay for that debt later on.
Yeah.
So it's hard. That's such a hard one for sure.
Yeah. I think parents in general are struggling with that. I know millennials are definitely like revisiting like the pipeline straight to college type of situation. And I think rural people are kind of asking themselves like, are there jobs here that I can walk into at 18 years old and make six figures at, where the other side of this is I use 4 years, create $60,000 worth of debt
Mhm.
and whatever. Like, what if you delayed school for, 2 years and then made an educated decision of like, do I want to continue to pursue this career or am I ready to start taking some night classes or am I ready to start whatever? And I'm balancing those decisions from a more rational, um,
Mhm.
wise mind as opposed to I'm just doing this because is what I'm supposed to do. Like I kind of feel like that initially, like that's why I went to college because that's what I'm supposed to
Yeah.
do.
Same here. Yes. Yes. Same here. And ended up changing my major, along the way. And um, definitely, I started out wanting to do nursing, and like
Uh-huh.
that, I didn't like all of that kind of stuff. It didn't, and
Yeah.
so this is kind of still in that helping profession, but in a different way, and
Sure.
not on my radar, starting out outside of college. And so, yeah, there's a
Yeah.
lot to weigh, in these decisions. And so,
For sure. And I think I think a good point to talk about is like how sometimes in rural communities there may be some voices that have influence that can be voices that we shouldn't be listening to as well. And that's everywhere, but they have like an outsized influence as opposed to anything else. Does that make sense? Like,
yes.
I'm always very careful, but we'll just say there was a person who, whenever I said, "Oh, I think I want to be a school counselor," like I literally said that in high school, and this person said to me, "Are you sure? Are you going to be able to pass statistics?" And like if you would have been like, "Oh, okay, that's my 1 year sophomore year counselor that I get at a big school in like the city that I'm never going to see again," that might not like plant some kind of seed in you. But if this is like someone of importance in your school and
Yeah.
they've been in the school for all these years and you've been, acquainted with them, they have been a person of trust or safety with you, and they make that remark,
Yes.
that's
Oh,
a whole different experience. And
yes, it
so
is.
I think that is very like there's some of that can happen in smaller towns as well, that like we don't sometimes recognize the amount of responsibility that we have because we are intermingling with each other on personal and professional, spiritual, all these different types of levels. Whereas in big city USA, like
Yeah.
I'm probably never going to end up at a church where
Yes.
people I work with are, or
Yeah.
I'm not going to be somewhere at a personal place where like my coworkers show up.
Yes. Everybody's a little more spread out. And
Yes.
yes. Yes.
So you
Yeah.
don't have as much, I guess what it would just be like those what did they call that? The multi-tier hats or whatever, and in counseling where they're like, you can't just be taking off this hat, putting on this hat.
Yeah.
Right. So I think that can be something that happens as well. That was like real personal story for me. That really happened to me.
Oh man.
I know, but you know what? I know it all worked out. I was like, I still was like, no, I'm going to go to school for counseling. And I did. And then I not dropped out. I switched kind of like you. I changed my path to business from counseling because where I went to school, there was a man who was teaching, I think it was psychology classes that I had to take. And he had a mail order bride. And that for me was like, are all that? Yeah,
Wow.
red flag.
Where was she from?
I can't remember, but
Oh,
it was
man.
weird. It was very awkward. It made me feel very icky. Like I
Oh,
was like, there's something very wrong with this. And like,
yeah, see, here I am. I'm like, where's all the details? Like, tell me more about it. They still married? All these
very strange. It was very strange.
Gosh.
And after that, I was like, oh, maybe that is not a profession that I want to get involved with.
Yeah.
But I made my way back.
Oh man, yes, it's hard. I don't know anybody who like picked a college like major, and well, I know one person, But all of my friends and people, they all had some kind of swap somewhere along the way.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Which is good. I mean, it's good that you figure that out along the way. But I think that that's the danger, or like what I've noticed is like the pressure of those early college schools is then like, you actually, no, we've already spent all of this money. Like, you need to make a decision today. And you're already in those upper level classes. Like, it wasn't like you were just dabbling in those. You're about to be full-fledged in those, and you're going to lose an entire semester. You're going to lose an entire year of coursework. And so I think that's why I'm like reluctant to that.
Yeah.
Well, my hope is that we can get some superintendents to talk to us about schools and what's going on in schools and what it means to represent a rural school versus that. I'd love to have some police officers talk to us, maybe some school what are the school officers? What do you call those?
Yes, school resource officers, SROs. Yes,
SRO talk to us. I'd love to have some probation officers talk to us, ask some questions. Just really anyone in volunteer fire department. All sorts of different types of people, and just like hear people's stories, maybe some business owners, some people who are raised rural, and like see what they have to share about what it's like to, and like give people some exposure to some actual people who live differently, so that like we can break down some of the stigmas associated with what it means to be a person who lives in a small town or rural area, because I do think that like they assume for the most part that we might not all have our teeth, that like our cars are broken down, or we only drive like big trucks, and that like make a lot of noise. Like that we have a cow living out back. Like, I mean, I do think there are some interesting ideas about what it means.
Yeah, absolutely. It's going to be a good time.
It is. So we're so glad that you kind of got to brainstorm with us, and we went everywhere today, just thinking of ideas of what this podcast is going to look like. We are going to try and tie back to mental health and some different things like that, because, hey, guess what? There are lots of mental health issues in rural Texas as well, and not that many resources to be available. And so this may be just like your one resource. Like we gave out some phone numbers earlier regarding the farm and ag things, and just kind of calling to some attention to that. But that's what we want to do for people, and maybe give realistic, practical, solution focused type of skills or solutions to our everyday issues. Anything else, Sarah?
I think that's it. It's going to be a good one.
Yes. Thank y'all so much. And the y'all came out. Thank y'all so much. And we will see you next time.
Bye-bye.
Bye.